I don't want to! Ah! Do you dislike cardio or working out in general? Do you get out of breath so easily and you just have to stop? Do you feel bad when you notice you're falling behind in a group class setting? Do you just find it boring and can't motivate yourself to show up for it? This one's for you. First of all, you're not supposed to like something. If you feel like it sucks, then it truly does suck for you for now. I've had a varying relationship with cardio as long as I've been doing it, and I'm in pretty good shape. There is a sort of spectrum of cardio experience, which I'll divide into three sections for clarity. The first I'll call the effortful, but at times maybe enjoyable state, a flow state if you're familiar with that term. This is basically the desired state of cardio exercise, which can be elusive to get into at times, even for an experienced person, and especially if you're in an older body or one that has some complexity. The second category of cardio experience is just this side of tolerable, which might happen when I'm choosing to push myself, or if there is a deficit in other areas, like being a little underslept, undernourished, or overstressed, or if the training for whatever reason is difficult to auto-regulate to a lower effort level, like hiking on a really hot day or a cold open water swim. I'm safe, but this is pretty tough, might be the general sentiment. My critical parent ego state might show up and say something like, suck it up, you're fine, while my rebellious child might be like, I'm pissed off that I'm doing this, and yet I don't want to stop for some reason. A lot of bargaining and just internal conflict here. I might tell myself a story about how this is towards some future goal, or daydream about some delicious food to help me get through it. Donuts. And then there is this third category of cardio experience, which I'll just call intolerable, or get me out of here level of discomfort, which has all kinds of difficult feelings associated with it, but generally I might feel scared or look for a legit way out, the flight trauma response if you're familiar with that. So don't beat yourself up if you're finding cardio hard in your body and mind and feel like it's something that's just not for you. I think a lot of people spend too much time in that second category because they are in a deficit in their sleep or lifestyle factors and haven't learned auto-regulation yet, and may even find themselves pulled into that third category at times, which leaves a bad taste in their mouth and leads them to believe that cardio is either really hard or intolerable and never enjoyable. It feels like it's not meant for them. If you're in a group exercise context, there is a strong social construct for just do it, as well as the toxic positivity where people just ignore that you might be having a rougher subjective experience than they are and may try to motivate you to finish a workout when your body is screaming, hell to the no. I remember a group class I coached where I unfortunately contributed to someone else's experience like this. It was a tradition in our CrossFit gym to encourage the people that finished the workout last to get to the end. You got this. Let's go. Rah, rah, rah. Lying on the floor wasted. High fives. You did it. I remember at my level 1 cert, one of the instructors called it the bacon sizzle, presumably because lying on the floor, writhing in agony, looks like bacon sizzling. Suffice to say, this end of the workout phenomenon was generally considered a good thing, and for the most part there was a strong cultural acceptance of hardship related to exercise as a good thing, a sort of badge of honor, you're in the club thing. Except for this one time, when someone, I'll change their name to Jonathan, had a different experience. Jonathan was the last person in the class to finish a pretty long, intense workout with lifting and running. He came in the door from the last run and had like 5 clean and jerks left to do. The time for the workout even expired before he got to his first rep, but the group dynamic and energy was all about finishing this workout. And so this sort of cheering group formed, led by me, the coach. As he lifted his head up while being exhausted and bewildered, he noticed he was being loudly cheered for, and a sort of fear showed on his face. He then breathlessly exclaimed, "No, no, no, please stop cheering for me." He did it better than I did. This was a moment I will never forget because it grew me as a person and a coach. A stunned silence fell over the group. I remember kind of awkwardly and intentionally walking away and looking anywhere else just so that Jonathan can choose what to do next without us pressuring him. I remember feeling pretty uncomfortable at that time. And then I remember that feeling passing and that Jonathan did choose to finish the workout on his own terms, and a few people more quietly connected with him one-on-one afterwards, and all was well again. It turns out not everyone responds positively to encouragement, especially when under duress. This is the truth of honoring who each of us is as an individual, not a cutout that just fits in because a group culture is a certain way. The lesson of that end of workout story is basically listen to your body. It's right. It's everyone else who needs to get on board. But is it so easy to just ignore other people and the persistent messages of toxic positivity? Trauma-informed care says, I don't think so. According to Steiner's work on emotional literacy and transactional analysis, feelings can be induced in us based on the inputs we receive from others and external stimuli in general. That is to say, they're not fully under our control, and the things people say with their words and even body language have the power to harm or heal us uniquely, whether or not some of us imagine we have a thick shell. Experiences of emotion are highly subjective and unique, and each person's experience is real and valid. One person's surprise happy birthday song with 30 beloved family and friends jumping out can make them feel genuinely happy. For another person, this same scene can have them running for the door or in tears. Music and imagery can be used to elicit emotions of happiness or sadness. A well-timed flock of birds in a movie, a creepy alien popping out, can make you feel surprised like you were in the scene itself. Experiments have demonstrated this. These feelings are real and measurable, even while you know the stimuli that induce them is fictional. I bet you already know much of this already, but maybe not that the internalized oppression of capitalism makes it socially acceptable to acknowledge this fact only in ways that don't challenge the system, and not okay to in ways that do challenge it. In short, if your real subjective experience challenges the prevailing power structure in even a local gym class kind of way, you can probably bet it'll be pushed out or minimized in a non-trauma informed setting. Coming back to the end of that workout story, what could Jonathan have done differently in that situation? Nothing. I think what they said was totally appropriate at that time, and unfortunate that it got to that point where I misunderstood and facilitated a type of support that was mismatched for them in that moment. So let's flip the power dynamics. What could I have done differently in that situation? So many things. First, my mind goes back to intros where we meet clients and learn about who they are and where they come from. I could have asked a question like, are you the type of person who likes being cheered for at the end of a hard workout? Definitely not. Or does it depend on the situation for you? Depending on what they said, I could have had a way for a coach like myself to know this in the class so that each member would get the type of support that is actually helpful for them, rather than this generic type of blanket cultural assumption that everyone benefits from cheering, which just isn't true. You'd have to stop the world just to stop the feeling. Coming back to the premise of this video, how to make cardio not suck. The way to make it not suck is first to do it on your terms. I'd suggest making a solemn promise to yourself to insist on doing it on your terms, because in this culture, you may at times be swimming upstream to do this. The next steps to make cardio not suck could include doing it in communities and environments that get you and support you as you are, that understand and accept your subjective experience is just as valid as theirs, and it can encourage you in ways that resonate with you. Next, you might explore learning to do cardio with RPE or heart rate zones to guide you towards something appropriate and in tune with your body as it is in this moment. Something that feels sustainable based on the tangled web of fluctuating lifestyle factors that you experience each day. If you've historically had a negative association with cardio, I'd suggest you may be working a lot harder than is appropriate for your body. The majority of the time I've had a new client start to track their heart rate during cardio, we quickly found out that their default effort level was simply too much. And the lesson became how to slow down until it was more moderate, and lo and behold, they often started to find it doable and even enjoyable. And finally, showing up for this work of a lifetime related to challenging and letting go of these internalized oppressive messages you grew up with and exploring some new ones that nourish your mind, body, and soul.